I have one or two friends that I can talk with about anything. I can talk with them about culture, um, art, politics, society. And one of these friends asked me a question. They said, "Well, we have these in-depth conversations and we have these exchanges, and to me they're interesting." And I concurred. I said, "Yeah, I think they are very interesting." And his question to me was, "Why don't you ever have content like that on Life is Art on the podcast? Have you ever considered doing something that talks more about those things?" And I thought about it, and I did do one where I had friendly back and forth with two people that I care about very much, um, Paul and George, and we did that on a Life is Art. We are these older artists talking about life and bullshitting and just enjoying each other's company and saying some off the cuff stuff and just really enjoying the conversation. I don't think that we had that conversation to convince people to take sides. I think we were just having a conversation, and there was stuff that we didn't agree upon. There were parts that were, "Oh my God, I can't believe you believe that." But what there always was a sense of civility, and there was never the idea that if we say the wrong thing, there's the possibility that we may never talk with one another again. Um, that's not something that I experience on a regular basis talking with artists. So to answer the question as to why I don't, with the exception of that one episode, why don't I delve off into those things? Because, if you think about it, the canvas that we paint on and the paint that we draw from many times is culture, politics, society, and basically the world. It would make sense that we would have those conversations. I would agree if this were years gone by, as artists were probably the last line of defense for free thought, for challenging social norms and cultural norms. But we've become different. We've become fearful, and we pretty much wait for a consensus to tell us what we can and cannot paint, what is in and what is out. We don't dictate the pace anymore. We will not make a response to anything that isn't popular. And I say this while at the same time acknowledging that there are exceptions to the rule. When I see art that's about colonialism, it's from the same perspective. When I see art that's about feminism, it's from the same perspective. And they're perspectives that everybody agrees upon. So, what would be the point of initiating another echo chamber? I would want rich conversations to where people are comfortable with each other as creatives, to where they know that there can be different opinions, and the person sitting before you is the same person that you shared laughs with and drinks with, and admired for years, unless you turn out to be a serial killer or a child molester. I think that we should be able to see eye to eye. And personally, I would love to have those conversations. I would love to have talks that are more than just the artist part of who we are. We're an amalgam of so many things. And as creative people, we have perspectives that are sometimes outside of the box. And I think that, eventually, if the world, and I know it's unlikely, but if the world's problems are solved, they more than likely will be solved at by the will of a creative, if not an artist. I think creative people just see something that the rest of the world doesn't. So I am a little disappointed that I don't know if it's possible for us to have these conversations, because we're not really concerned as much as we were with finding truth. We have found the comfortableness of our own truth, the concept of my truth, when in fact, my truth many times is just an opinion that we hold. and we don't have any evidence that that opinion is true. So we use the term my truth so that we don't have the burden of proving it to be true. Personally, I'm interested in absolute truth, and sometimes that's not easy to achieve. You don't always find what you're looking for, but my life is one where I go on the quest to find it. I at least look. And if you're not going to look, I don't think you're adhering to one of the principles of being an artist. And that principle is to investigate, to find, to grow, to be open enough to admit when you're wrong, to stand your ground when you know something to be, without question, correct and right, and not just right as you see it. Because sometimes we see things through a, um, a tunnel, and we get tunnel vision. And when you have tunnel vision, you're not able to see perspectives outside of your own. The sad part is we're also afraid of what people in numbers may think. We're afraid that if a room with 1,000 people shuns you, that there's something wrong with what you're thinking. We've gotten to the point to where we believe that consensus denotes truth, and it doesn't always. And I cite this example from an old movie with Christopher Reeves, the 1978 version of Superman. When Jor-El, Marlon Brando's character, tried to tell the council that Krypton was in danger of being destroyed. The council outnumbered Jor-El by a great many, and unfortunately they were wrong. Jor-El was right. Jor-El was not interested in being right. He was interested in saving Krypton. And I think perhaps that we should approach our conversations like that. Because if Jor-El had have been wrong, I'm assuming that he would have breathed a sigh of relief, and his ego would have been secondary to what the ultimate goal was, which was saving Krypton. I think if artists have conversations and they're not afraid and they really want to come to some kind of resolution to these problems, that they have to be open in the same way, to achieve that goal of finding and discovering absolute truth. Again, do I believe that opinions are problematic? No, I don't believe opinions are problematic if they are held into the context or within the context of what they are. I have strong opinions about certain things that I'm not able to prove. And until I'm able to prove those things, they remain opinions that I am strong on. And that's how we have the term highly opinionated people. And I think that that's a responsible saying. I would like to know if you all are interested in those conversations. And I would also like to know if there are artists interested in having those conversations. And they should go deeper than, I think Trump is wrong, I think Trump is right, and get rid of Trump or get rid of Biden, get rid of Harris. I think they should go deeper. I think if we have conversations about race, I think they should be nuanced. And I don't think that they should be so heavy-handed to where we don't look at the the delicate complexities of what even creates a person that doesn't like another person. Because a lot of these things are more complicated than we really have the attention span for. And some of them are so downright simple that they shut down the conversation for people that want to have this long-winded, um, deep explanation as to why something is occurring. And sometimes there's not. I want to have the door wide open for that. If you guys have an interest in any of what I'm talking about, let me know in the comments. This is one of those Life is Art podcasts that it just doesn't work without your interaction. It's there for you to participate. This one is there for you all to participate in rather than just observe and absorb. So I'd love to know what you think. Share, like, and subscribe. And above all else, I would love your input. This is your guy, the Brave Artist for Life is Art, asking whether or not we should expand the conversation in Life is Art to include all of those things and topics and subject matters that we were once afraid not to, that we were once not afraid to confront. Let me know what you think. Until the next time, take care.